So what if Apple decided to give us even more buttons on the next iPhones? As yes, reports of the iPhone 16 series have an additional button in addition to a new approach to the chips. Samsung's Galaxy S24 series is now slated to launch even earlier than expected, and we wonder why. And let's just say Xiaomi is back with an interesting change to its flagships. I'm Jaime Rivera, and I found it crazy that leaks for next year's phones are already being a thing from trusted sources. This is Pocketnow Daily. The official news today, I know, official news. They start with Xiaomi as the company just announced the new push into photography with their 13T and 13T Pro. I know, these names get out of hand. Now, when it comes to the base model, it's powered by MediaTek's Dimensity 8200 Ultra chipset, and you can pair it with up to 12 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. I know, this used to be Snapdragon. It comes with a 6.67-inch OLED display at 144 Hz, a Full HD Plus resolution panel, and over 2600 nits of peak brightness. In the camera department, we get a triple Leica camera comprised of a 50-megapixel main sensor with OIS, and next to it, there's a 50-megapixel telephoto and 12-megapixel ultra-wide shooter. Now, just like in the previous models, when you take photos, you can choose between Leica Authentic, which aims to give you more realistic color approach, and then Leica Vibrant whenever you want to add more colors to it. It also has a 5000 mAh battery and supports 67-watt wired charging. Now, moving on to the Pro model, which is where things get interesting, it has a 6.67-inch OLED panel at 120 Hz, and inside we have a more powerful Dimensity 9200 Plus chipset that can be paired with up to 16 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. Another difference is in the charging speeds. The 13T Pro goes up to 120-watt hypercharging, which translates into a full charge in like 19 minutes, and yes, 5000 mAh. The Xiaomi 13T Pro also offers a triple 50-megapixel main sensor, 50-megapixel telephoto, and then 12-megapixel ultra-wide, and both models will be available in green, black, and vegan blue leather. But maybe what's crazier is the price. See, the base model starts at 650 euros, and then the Pro model goes for 800, which is crazy when you get specs for 1,000 euro territory. Now let's talk about Samsung because we have new information about the pricing of the Galaxy S23 FE. We reported a few days ago that the company has a final major release for 2023 featuring the Fan Edition devices, and the S23 FE is apparently going to make its debut. Now, while the S23 started at $799, this Fan Edition is slated to be $200 cheaper, reportedly at $599, and hey, this price point is Pixel 7 territory, and even OnePlus 11. I mean, if you consider Pixel 7 when it launched. Thing is, the S23 FE in the United States will bring a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chip, contrary to an earlier report of an Exynos on the package. And yes, this was confirmed in a Google Play console listing. Specs include a 6.4-inch 120Hz display, 8 gigs of RAM, 128 or 256 gigs of storage, and a 4500 mAh battery with fast wired and wireless charging. IP68 water and dust resistance, and a rear camera setup that includes a 50-megapixel primary sensor, 12-megapixel ultra-wide, and 8-megapixel telephoto camera with 3x optical zoom, along with a 10.5-megapixel front-facing camera. Color options include graphite, mint, purple, and white, with indigo and tangerine exclusives on Samsung.com. Release details are still yet to be confirmed, but the Galaxy S23 FE is expected to arrive before the holidays. Now we just wonder how it's going to pair with the competition, because the price is not bad, but compared to competitors, it doesn't necessarily look that great. Now let's stick to Samsung, but move on to the Galaxy S24 series. According to a new report by Ice Universe, the Korean company is considering an early launch of its upcoming lineup. The report mentions that the new smartphones could be launched on January 18, 2024, a full month earlier than the previous year's release. Apparently, the reason for this change is unknown, but it follows the pattern of progressively earlier release dates from Samsung flagship phones. Prior to the pandemic, the launch was happening in March, but as the years go by, we get earlier releases. In addition to the S24 series, there are rumors about a Galaxy Ring health tracker. It is reported that the Ring will include an ECG and PPG sensor, meaning that it will most likely have the ability to take heart rate measurements as well as monitor temperature. We also hear that early patents point to potential smart home integration, and it could even offer users the ability to control connected devices such as a smart TV. I mean, let's see how things evolved, as I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of broke after the holiday, so that launch is interesting. And finally, for the hottest news today, let's talk about Apple, since we have the first details on the iPhone 16 series and actually mostly the base models. And I know this is early, but bear with me because it's kind of interesting. Notice how Apple has been using last year's chip for a second year in a row with the base models? Well, that's apparently about to change in an interesting way. According to a new report, the A18 chip from the upcoming model is undergoing a significant change in manufacturing to reduce cost. The report mentions that Cupertino intends to use the lower cost N3E process, different from the N3B process used for the iPhone 15 Pro's A17 Pro chip. And listen, at this point, I don't know if that means that the chip is going to be named A17 or A18 and just lacking the Pro for the base models, but just bear with me. This shift signifies Apple's first design tailored specifically for standard iPhone models, meaning that the Pro moniker starts making sense. Actually, we just kind of learned that the A15 Bionic chip on the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus featured some differences despite sharing the same name with the Pro models from the year prior. N3 is a simpler, cost-effective node, while the N3B is more complex and has lower yield, and it's not compatible with TSMC's successor processes. Apple's A18 chip architecture may evolve through TSMC's upcoming nodes. This rumor was also reported by Jeff Poo, who revealed that the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus will boast 8 gigs of memory, up from 6 gigs on the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus. So yeah, no Pro chipset for the base models makes sense. We also heard that Apple is working on a new additional capacitive button known internally as the capture button. If it passes the initial testing phase, this new button is expected to be one of the main selling points for the next lineup. It will be located on the same side as the power button, only positioned slightly lower. It is reported that it will work like the home button on the iPhone SE, which mimics the press of a physical button through the built-in Taptic engine. Finally, the report mentions that it will be present on all 4 models instead of being a Pro exclusive feature. Now, as for the purpose, well, so far it's unknown, but anyways, and today's question is, what do you think about Apple's new idea of giving us more buttons lately? Because I don't care if they give me capacitive buttons or not. This is a complete change in Apple's approach, and I love it. I want more buttons. I feel that they're more useful. If anything, I'd give more buttons to the Apple Watch as well, but that's just me. Leave us a comment down below. We'd love to know your opinion. Friends, again, if you want to get the news earlier, follow us on Pocketnow.com and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. You can also follow us on social media, so our extended coverage happens on Instagram, and follow me on my personal handles to see me question why things are going the way they are. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.